And then here came WrestleMania. And suddenly, we had about 50 bagpipers and drummers and swordsmen and lords a-leaping and ladies dancing. And here came Drew McIntyre.
And Punk on commentary said sacrilege because they were playing Piper's theme song. They weren't just playing any song. They were playing what Piper would come out to.
I try not to listen when the bagpipes go, except if it was Roddy playing them. And yeah, and Punk jumped his introduction because he's like, cut that off. But Punk was there joining Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and Pat McAfee, our broadcasters for both nights, did a fine job. And Punk was wearing a suit. Looked like he had just come from a funeral. You don't see some people in suits that often. Lawsuits maybe, but not the regular kind. And then for Seth, George Clinton's worst acid flashback appeared on the stage. The Philadelphia Mummers is what they were. It looked like a few of them would give you a Hummer as they were mumming there.
Is that what you thought watching them?
The Mummers looked like, a few of them looked like some Hummers.
I can't believe you just said Hummers on the show.
And it was ridiculous. This scene was ridiculous, but I mean, it was a spectacle. People you're going to do it at WrestleMania. And we had Seth versus Drew, but we were 20 minutes into the show before the bell rang on this one. And immediately, boom, Drew McIntyre comes out with a Claymore kick and gets a 2 count. And then with this match, and I got to tell you, I liked it. It worked. But they were doing the Brock Lesnar Big Show match playbook, weren't they? Where it was built around the big moves, the stomps, the suplexes, the Claymore kicks, the pedigrees, a lot of 2 counts, and then selling. But it worked, I thought. And, I'm not, again, going to go blow by blow on all of these back and forths, but they did it creatively and they got all of their moves in multiple times, but there was a reason for each kick or each move failing if it did. And then finally, Drew had cleared off the announce desk. And Punk at that point was calling it in his headset, but he was calling it so like Drew could hear him when he was talking bad about him. And Seth fought up and gave Drew the stomp on the desk, rolled him back in, but Drew McIntyre hit a kick and got a 2 count, and then another kick and got a 3 count. And that was the only thing. It was an exciting match with a finish because he just survived Seth Rollins' finish on the announce desk. And 15 minutes after that, he hits 2 kicks and beats him. Or 15 seconds, I should say, not minutes. He hits 2 kicks and beats him. But otherwise than that, as a match before we go to the afterbirth, this was a nice, it was a nice peppy goddamn way to get the people going at the start. I liked it. What'd you think?
Good match. I figured Drew would win. So up to that point, I thought it was great. Not to say that anything after it wasn't, but I thought it was good. And had a good WrestleMania moment. His wife at ringside.
Yeah.
Got to show her the belt. So he got to have that moment in front of fans.
Whereas Seth was just showing people his Hummers.
Boy, Seth just did nothing but put other people over this entire WrestleMania. But
because some things are bigger than ourselves. But it was a good match, and then there was a celebration because when we predict Drew McIntyre would win this belt, and then Drew and Punk started making smart-ass remarks to each other because Punk has obviously been on color this whole time. He's still there. And then Drew gets over, he's crawling over the desk. He's going to menace Punk, and Punk's got that brace on his arm over the top of his suit jacket. And then finally Drew stood up on the desk right in front of Punk and crotch chopped him. And turned around and laughed about it, and Punk leg sweep jerked his feet out from under him, and bam, Drew takes a bump on the desk. And then Punk takes off the brace and the fucking jacket and gives Drew a clothesline with the fucking brace and kicks the shit out of him, or starts kicking the shit out of him. And suddenly, the music plays in, and here comes Damien Priest with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he nails Drew McIntyre with the briefcase, rolls him in, cashes in, hits the choke slam, 1, 2, 3, and he's the new world champion. And CM Punk has taken away Drew McIntyre's moment of triumph at his world title win and fucking facilitated the goddamn thing going over to Damien Priest, and Drew McIntyre can't fucking believe it. And so now they've heated that program. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know if Drew or if Damien as Priest is going to have that belt long or if he's going to do much for it. But we didn't see this coming, and that was the biggest thing they could do to heat up Drew and Punk, which is going to be money as soon as Punk's ready. Does Drew come back and beat Damien Priest on Raw? I don't fucking know. After a while, I'm not talking about tomorrow. But, you know, they heated up a money match that they've already got waiting on them. I don't know what's going to go on with the world title. But I like this. This deal was a nice little surprise.
This was great. It was a great way to open the show. I guess the question is, how much longer is Punk on the shelf? Because if you can't start building him and Drew into a match that could happen anytime soon, who is Drew going to work with? And then, with Rollins coming out of this, again, another guy they teased stuff with him and Punk in the past, but Drew and Punk has kind of become the thing now. What does Rollins do coming out of this?
Well, that's why I was thinking that they might not have pulled the trigger on Gunther for poor old Seth or give him something to do. But with this, you could start building Punk and McIntyre now and not have to have it for 8 to 12 weeks if you do it right. So how long's it been since? It's been since January. It's been 3 months already, 2.5 months. You know, we'll see what happens. But we got a new world champion, Damien Priest.
And there's another guy. Now is a chance to do something different with him and elevate him. Let's see what they do. No more of these backstage segments playing darts with his friends.
He needs to get a big head and leave the clubhouse for the Judgment Day and have his own private locker room they got to knock, except for Rhea. She can come in any time.
You know what? Him celebrating with the Judgment Day at the top of the ramp was one of the cool moments. Because you could tell that was more real than anything else.
Yeah.
Like, it's their guy. He's the world champion now. Look at how far they've come from being Edge's two people, just Rhea and Priest, in the original Judgment Day.
I forgot about that. Tony Khan has made it so I've almost forgotten about Edge.